Sorry. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to everyone who's joining us online as well. So we're going to pick up our program here where we're going to be learning Buddhist chanting, helping you guys to develop a Buddhist chanting practice where you can chant if you'd like before your meditation, after your meditation, or any time that you'd like. It's a really great practice to be able to help you get more benefit out of the meditation itself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help you understand the history and the origins of chanting first. Then we're going to actually teach you the chanting and we'll actually do it together. So in this tradition of Buddhist teachings, it's called Theravada Buddhism. Theravada means the teachings of the elders. And there's other traditions of Buddhist teachings too, Mahayana Buddhism and then Vajrayana Buddhism. And off of these, there's multiple branches and sects that are there's well over 200 different branches. But there was only one Buddha, so there can only be one Buddhism. There's not 200 different flavors of what the Buddha taught. It's what the Buddha taught. So whatever the Buddha taught, that's what's going to lead to your enlightenment. But each of these branches, they have a different perspective, right? In a Theravada tradition, they are interested in looking at the Pali canon, which is the original words of the Buddha, and that's considered the source of their teachings. And they're not interested in changing what the Buddha taught. They look at the Pali canon as the original source teachings, and when they do chanting, they chant in the Pali language. So no matter where you are, whether you're in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Thailand, really these teachings are spread all throughout the world, they will chant in the Pali language. Now the dialect is different from place to place, even from temple to temple here in Thailand. You can hear slight variations in the chanting. There isn't just one right way to chant. There'll be different variations because of impermanence. But nonetheless, you can get together with anybody who's learned the Pali chanting and you'd be able to chant right along with them. There'll be some slight differences, but you'll be able to chant even if you've never been to that temple ever before. In the Mahayana tradition, when they chant, and also in the Vajrayana tradition, they will chant in the local language. So if you were in the Mahayana tradition, you would need to first learn Chinese, then you could chant with the people that were practicing Mahayana Buddhism in China. Or if you were practicing Mahayana Buddhism in Vietnam, you would need to first learn Vietnamese, then you could chant along with the people that are practicing those teachings in the Vietnam country. So this is like a unifying practice. Like when you go to a Theravada Buddhist temple, people will be chanting in the Pali language and you will be able to chant right along with anybody and everybody. But like I mentioned, there's different regions and there's different dialects from one place to the next. The way that I chant, people would consider it a Thai dialect because I learned hearing from the Thai people when they chant. So when I chant kind of like the way a Thai person would chant. But it's the very similar thing that if you chant with someone from Sri Lanka, you'll hear a lot of similarities, but there'll be some differences. So it's important not to think that there's one right way and one wrong way. It's just a different dialect, just like English. We all speak English, but we have a different accent from one place to the next, or we have different words that we will use from one place to the next. So when I teach you guys this Buddhist chanting, I'm going to be teaching it to you and ultimately helping you to pronounce it. And you'll notice that you might actually pick up a Thai dialect because that's where you're learning in Thailand, right? So first, kind of the origins and benefits of chanting is that the origins of chanting came from during the lifetime of the Buddha. He used chanting as a way to help his students commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, they would come together and they would recite his teachings orally because the technology to write things down didn't exist in that region of the world. The language that he spoke didn't even have a script because there was no need for it. Up to that point, we were only having oral languages. That the technology to write things down existed in China, but it didn't exist in that region of the world. So all the languages pretty much in the world, they were all oral languages. So we might consider those people to be illiterate, but that doesn't mean that they were unwise or so quote unquote stupid or anything like that. It was just that they didn't have a use for a written script, so they didn't have the technology to write it down. So everything they did was through oral speaking. So you can see from this that with the chanting, there isn't anything mystical or magical, right? It's not this kind of magical benefit. It's not a prayer or anything like that. The Buddha used chanting just purely as a learning device. Well, today we don't need that, right? We have books, we have audiobooks, we have videos, we have podcasts. We don't need to chant in order to remember the teachings. So that's why when you see the core central path tomorrow of the Eightfold Path, you're not going to see a step that says right chanting, right? You're going to see these qualities that you need to practice, these factors that you need to practice to train your mind, and chanting isn't one of those things. During the lifetime of the Buddha, you had to chant in order to get to enlightenment. If you didn't chant, you wouldn't be able to remember the teachings and actually practice them to get to enlightenment. But today, you can actually get to enlightenment without chanting. You don't have to actually chant in order to get to enlightenment. But these things that I'm going to share with you about the benefits of chanting, you're going to need to figure out a way to cultivate those. For me, chanting does that really well, and you're welcome to use chanting. But if at the end of all of this, maybe you try this for a week or 2 or 3, you're like, I really don't like the chanting much, you could actually still get to enlightenment. This is the one thing that I will teach you that you wouldn't have to actually learn and grow and develop in order to be able to get to enlightenment. Everything else that I teach you, you would need to be able to learn and grow and develop that in order to be able to get to enlightenment. But this is that one thing that isn't that case. But it is very beneficial, and that's why I teach it to students, because it does really help you. What it helps you to do is it helps you to set up mindfulness in front of you. This is something the Buddha shares. When you learn his teachings, if you read his actual words about meditation, because we have his actual words over there that where he's teaching meditation, and you can actually see what he was actually describing during the meditation sessions. And he talks about before you start meditating, set up mindfulness in front of you. You're going to learn what mindfulness is in more detail tomorrow, but for now, you can just think of it as awareness of mind, that you would like to have some awareness of mind. You're not just interested in just plopping down into meditation and starting to meditate. So the Buddha says, set up mindfulness in front of you before you start meditating. He's saying, bring some awareness of the mind. So when you're chanting, you're getting some awareness of mind, because you can't chant without awareness of mind, right? So this is one of the benefits of chanting. It helps you to develop this awareness of mind, this concentration, and this memory, because your mind is like a muscle. If you don't use your muscle, if you don't go to the gym and kind of exercise the muscle, it won't be there, it won't be developed, and it won't help you. Like when your friend says, hey, can you help me move my sofa? You won't be able to help them because your muscles aren't very strong. But if you exercise your muscle, it'll be nice and strong. So one of the things that chanting does is it exercises the mind, helping you to develop that concentration and memory. It also helps you to develop awareness of breath, because as you're chanting, you're going to need to have awareness of the breath. And these are things that you need as you ease into meditation, to be aware of the mind, have awareness of the breath, and ease the mind into meditation. So that's what the chanting is doing, is slowing, relaxing, and easing the mind into meditation. Because when you have what's called craving, desire, attachment in your mind, where it's long and yearning, your mind's going to be wanting to go, chase, 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 chase. That's usually what the mind wants to do. So they're making these really quick, rapid decisions. But you would like to slow the mind down. And that's what's actually going to help you to bring forth all your wisdom and make wise decisions in your day-to-day life. So the chanting will help you to slow, relax, and ease the mind into meditation. When I first started meditating, my mind was so congested and so full of pollution that when I meditated, I felt like I was hitting a brick wall every single time. It was just like nothing but a brick wall. And I wasn't really able to notice a whole lot of progress early on. But what I noticed with chanting is it gave me like an audible indication that my practice was improving. So each day, each week, each month, as I was doing chanting, and I could hear the sound of the chants improving, I was like, I'm making progress here. So it kind of built in some motivation, some encouragement, some enthusiasm, because I could see that what I was doing was working. It was getting better, right? So one of the things that you'll see with your chanting is it can be motivating. It can be encouraging to see that you have this audible indication that things are improving, because sometimes the changes in your mind are so subtle, you might have challenges to see it until you've had 3 months of accumulation of benefits or something like that. One of the things that chanting can do is it can help you to cultivate respect and gratitude for the elders, including Gautama Buddha. What I mean by the elders is that from the lifetime of Gautama Buddha all the way until now, there's been a long line of people that have handed these teachings down from person to person to person to person. It's like a unbroken chain, and each individual is like a link in that chain. And we'll never know all the individuals, that their names and who they were that handed these teachings down. But here you are in front of you. There's some chants that have been handed down through all these years, and people found them to be beneficial and helpful, so they handed them down to the next generation. So for me, I have a lot of respect and gratitude and appreciation for all those people that have been handing down teachings for all these years, including Gautama Buddha himself. So if chanting does that for you, great. But that's one of the things that I noticed with chanting, is it helped me to cultivate that gratitude and respect. Now, you're going to need gratitude and respect with all people in your life, not just these people, but all people. So you'll need something to cultivate that as well. And then, as I shared, that there's nothing mystical or magical with chanting. There's no magical thing that's going to occur. But there's going to be people along the line that you might encounter that will tell you there is something mystical and magical. Someone might say, here, chant this special chant. You're going to get wealthy if you chant this special chant. Or you're going to get an extra long life if you chant this chant. Or you're going to get your boyfriend or girlfriend's going to come back to you if you chant this chant. So you're going to hear all these different things. And just like I teach you, don't believe other people, don't believe me either, right? Don't believe anybody about any of this stuff, because with belief, you don't know what's true or false. You're just believing it. You would like to see the truth for yourself. So if you show up to a temple and they say, hey, chant this chant, you're going to get an extra long life if you chant this chant. Okay, you look around the temple. You should see people that are 150, 200, 300 years old. And if you don't see that, then you know that this isn't true. These people are just believing it, right? Or if they say, hey, chant this chant, you're going to get extra rich and extra wealthy. Okay, look around the temple. What do you see, right? So oftentimes people believe these kinds of things. If there was some kind of chant that could instantly produce wealth, or instantly get your girlfriend or boyfriend back, or instantly create some wonderful magical thing like having this extra long life, that would have spread like wildfire by now, right? If it was created 2,500 years ago by the Buddha, and there's this special chant that's going to produce something miraculously, that would have spread like wildfire. I mean, think about it. You go to a restaurant and you have a great meal. How many people do you tell? You're probably telling 3, 4, 5, 10 people about how great this restaurant is. Can you imagine that somehow there's a chant that's been kept secret from everybody, but yet it's got this mystical, magical power to instantly produce something in the world? It's just not true, right? But people believe these kinds of things. So don't believe others, but don't believe me either. Test these things for yourself and see what's true. So these are the benefits of chanting, that it's going to help train your mind. That's what the Buddha is teaching you to do, is train your mind. It's going to set up mindfulness for you. It's going to help to build awareness and concentration and memory, awareness of the breath. It's going to ease the mind into meditation. It can help you with this audible indication of your practice, and it can cultivate respect and gratitude for the elders and Gautama Buddha. So you guys have any questions on the benefits of chanting? You have a question? Yeah. And for those of you guys online, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom if you have questions, or raise your hand in Zoom and ask any questions that you like.
Did the Buddha ever say anything about mantra at all?
So mantra is just another word for chanting, essentially, where people will have these recited words. The Buddha didn't teach any mantras. He taught to recite his teachings verbally, and that's what produces the ability to remember the teachings. You can see it very clearly in his teachings. He talks about reciting the teachings, and you can see in his teachings where he did this every 2 weeks. He brought together his students every, what did he say? I think it was like every 15 days that they would come together. And then during that period of time, they would chant the teachings. Because if you're listening to the Buddha speak, say for like an hour, he's going to say a bunch of things. And now you would recite them to be able to remember them and recall them and kind of burn them into your mind. So there's no mantras or anything like that. Though there's people nowadays in all these different branches, they have all kinds of mantras, and they will tell you that there's all kinds of mystical benefit with them. It's almost taken on like a prayer. Like people think it's a prayer that if you recite this, somehow you're magically going to get something. And one of the things that you'll find in these kind of things is sometimes people, the least you know about something, the more mystical and magical it becomes. So a lot of these words that people are using for the chanting, people don't know what it means anymore because it's some language that isn't even a spoken language. Like Pali, it's no longer a spoken language. So because people don't know what the words mean, it kind of takes on this mystical and magical thing in their mind. And that's why I put the English translations on here, so you can see exactly what these words mean, and they won't be mystical and magical for you. And you can see like, oh yeah, they're just reciting these words out of respect for the Buddha, the teachings, the community, and things like this, that there's nothing mystical or magical here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So setting up mindfulness in front of you, to me that talks about almost setting up a sense of place a little bit, perhaps. Do you have any at home?
Yeah, so
having a quiet place, something.
Yeah, we'll talk about this tomorrow, but setting up mindfulness in front of you means like you don't just come and just plop down in the meditation. So you might go to the bathroom, you might take off your shoes, some people might do a little bit of stretching and kind of just bring general awareness to your mind. It's not about the location that you meditate in, because it would be unwise to attempt to meditate in exactly the same place all the time, because you can't do that. You might have a place that you generally kind of meditate at, but as you get stabilized in your meditation practice with that, I would encourage you to move around to different places, because your mind can grab onto this and get attached to meditating in exactly the same place. And now if you're at a park and it's like, wow, it's such a beautiful day, the lake is shining, the birds are chirping, I'd really like to kind of sit down and meditate, but I don't have my favorite pillow with me. I can't meditate here, because your mind's attached to that. Instead, you would like to be free of all of that and be like, no, I can sit down and meditate right here, no problem. So while you might have a place that you generally meditate frequently at, you would like to actually, once you get stabilized, move around. But setting up mindfulness isn't about the external things. It's about the internal mind. It's like developing this awareness of the mind. And for some people, they're going to take off their shoes, use the bathroom, empty out the organs, kind of do a little stretching, things like this, and just kind of bring some general awareness to the mind, so you're not just plopping down. Because this way you'll get more benefit from the very beginning of the meditation. Mm-hmm.
In a practical sense, if you went into a temple and they were chanting, would you typically just join the chant that they're doing, or would you do a chant that if they were doing something different?
Yeah, you can join right along with them. Usually most temples, they will have like a chanting book or a sheet like this that shows the chants that they're doing. Here in Thailand, they're typically putting that in the Thai characters. So if you can't read Thai, you wouldn't necessarily be able to chant along with them. Some places will put English characters so you can chant along with them. The temples that I've gone to in America, for example, the USA, they typically have the Thai characters, the English characters, maybe even the Chinese characters or something like that, to be all inclusive and allow as many people to chant as possible. But yeah, you would chant right along with them. And the chants that I'm going to teach you are the most common ones that you will see. So if you remember these chants, you can walk into a community and they're most likely going to be chanting these three. And there's going to be others that they're probably chanting as well. And they'll have those like in a book or a paper or something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, my Zoom. Hey, Claire, my Zoom just keeps bouncing on and off. All right. All right, so now let me see if there's any questions. I don't see any other questions. All right, so now let me move into the actual chants themselves. This first one I'm going to teach you is called the triple gem or the triple jewel. Those of you here, I see you have the chanting sheets. Anybody online, if you guys would like to get this, you can go to buddhadailywisdom.com, click on free books, and then down towards the bottom, you're going to see this chanting sheet. So it's buddhadailywisdom.com, and then click on the free books and you'll scroll down and you'll see this chanting sheet. So this first one that I'm going to teach you, we refer to it as the triple gem or the triple jewel because it pays respect to three things. And you need these three things in order to be able to get to enlightenment. It's the Buddha, the teachings, and the community. You're going to need to have confidence in the Buddha, which right now you might not have, and that's okay. Like we were talking about with the doubt, right? So you're going to ultimately need confidence in the Buddha. You're going to need to have access to his teachings, and you're going to need to be part of a community because when you're part of a community, you're learning from different people. You can learn from your teacher through our spoken words and our actions, but you'll pick things up from other people. Like, when you guys were both interested in speaking at the same time, you were like, no, you go ahead, right? It's like being generous and like, no, you can do that. And it's like, wow, I kind of like that. I think I might do that, right? Like you're around wholesome people, you'll kind of learn from other members of the community. So if you just had one or two of these things, you wouldn't actually be able to get to enlightenment. So if you had confidence in the Buddha, but you didn't have access to his teachings and you weren't part of a community, you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment. Or if you just had access to his teachings, but you weren't confident in him and you weren't part of a community, you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment. Or if you just were part of a community, but you don't have confidence in the Buddha and you didn't have access to his teachings, you wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment. So you need all three of these. So typically any kind of event in the Theravada tradition, they will start with this because these are the three things that you need in order to be able to get to enlightenment. So the way I'm going to teach you guys this is I'm going to chant it once myself, just so you can hear it and look at your paper if you like. Then I'm going to chant it a second time and I'm going to show you where I'm breathing so that you'll kind of know some general idea of where you could potentially breathe. Then we'll chant it a third time and then we'll all join in together and I'll guide you in that third time of where to breathe. And then on the fourth time, I won't give you any guidance and we'll just all be chanting it together as a group. So I'll do it 4 individual times. I apologize. My Zoom keeps bouncing on and off and there we go. I got it back on now. Hey, Claire. Okay. So this is the first time through. You'll just listen to it and just hear me chanting it. Okay. So give you an idea what it sounds like. So here's the first one. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Mahakavato Sāvaka Saṅkho Saṅghang Namami. Okay, so that's what it sounds like. And what you might have noticed there is that I was doing this little bow with my hands at the end of each phrase. That's a way to just show respect to each individual thing, the Buddha, the teachings, the community. Whether you choose to do that or not, it's your choice. Everything is your choice. It's your practice. I'm just teaching you and showing you what people do and what I do for my practice, but what you choose to do is up to you. If you're in a large group of people, they're typically chanting towards the front of the room, and there's usually an image of the Buddha up there, and they're actually bowing to the floor. They're prostrating to the floor when they're doing this. So since I'm sitting in a chair here, I'm just kind of raising my hands up and kind of bowing that way, but it's up to you what you guys choose to do. It's your practice. Okay, so you might see people doing that kind of thing. So now I'm going to do it a second time, and I'm going to show you where I'm breathing so you'll understand. You don't have to breathe in this place, but it just kind of give you guidance that if you would like to breathe, this is a natural place to actually breathe. So at the beginning, I take a nice deep breath, filling up the lungs, and then I start chanting. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava. Right here, I'm going to take a little half breath. Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami. And then as I'm bowing, I'm taking a nice deep breath. Sawakato Bhagavata Tammo. There's a little breath here. Dhammang Namasami. And then as I'm bowing, I'm taking a nice deep breath. Supatipano Bhagavato. Little breath here. Sāvaka Saṅkho. Little breath here. Sanghang Namami. And then I'm going to bow, and I'm taking a deep breath to lead into the next chant. Okay? So that's the second time through. Now we'll do it a third time. You guys can join in. And I'm going to guide you in the breath as we're chanting. Okay? So if you guys would like to chant along, you're more than welcome to. And just to give you guys a heads up, sometimes when people have these chanting sheets, they either put it on the floor, they put it on their leg. Some people like to hold it in their hands like this. I'll just kind of give you guys a tip. It's up to you what you decide to do, but those are different options that you might have. You have a question?
Noticed the way you pronounce PHA.
Yeah. So I used to pronounce it exactly the way you have it here. That was before I started using a microphone. I started using a microphone about 2 years ago or so. I can't remember, but around that time frame. And I noticed people started asking me this question. People never used to ask me this question before because I always chanted it exactly the way you see here. But with the microphone up, so I started softening it. So I say, ma, it's more of an M sound, ma, to kind of soften it a bit. So that's what you're hearing. This is the way people pronounce it. So if I put the microphone to the side, it would be Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava. So I kind of soften that because I'm not interested in your ears popping or the speakers popping. Yeah, it's a PH. Bhagava, Bhagava. Yep. All right. Yep.
And then anything I noticed when it ends in two A's, you do an inflection. Like
yeah. Oh, apewatemi. Yeah, Sanghang Namami. Yeah. Yeah, I used to put little inflection points above and below, but I got rid of that and just leave it like this, let you hear it and figure it out for your own self. But you guys are going to get lots of practice with this, not just here during this period, but each day we're going to be chanting, each morning, each afternoon, so you'll get in the flow of actually chanting. Yeah, this daily chanting sheet, you'll find it on our website by clicking on free books and going down towards the bottom. You can print it out. There's actually a print shop right next to the temple. You can even print it there if you'd like and mark it up if you'd like. The audio is on our podcast, on the YouTube channel. I do it for every meditation, but also there's a place where I just did the chanting. It's like a 2.5 minute audio file. So you can be listening to it while you're actually chanting because it helps to chant along with somebody as you're first learning. Okay, you guys like to give it a try? I'll give you some guidance as we're doing it, okay? So here, take a nice deep breath, and now let's just chant it. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami. Sorry, I didn't give you guys that second little breath. I usually do. Okay, so let's do that again. We'll take a nice deep breath at the beginning. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Little breath. Potang Mahakawanang Apiwateyami. Nice deep breath here. Sawakato Bhagavata Tammo. Little breath. Damang Namasami. Big breath here. Supatipano Bhagavato. Little breath. Sawakasangko. Little breath. Sanghang namami. And then we take a deep breath there, moving into the next one. Okay, so now we'll do it a fourth time where I won't give you any guidance. Okay, this is where like you're on like American Idol or Australia Idol or like The Voice or something like that, right? You really like to belt it out, right? No shyness. Enlightened beings aren't shy. Just let it go. Okay, really open up the lungs. Okay, so I won't guide you. We'll just start it and just chant. Okay, you ready? All right, here we go. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakawa Potang Mahakawanang Apiwateyami. Sawakato Bhagavata Tammo. Damang Namasami. Supatipano Bhagavato. Sawakasangko. Sanghang namami. I'm sorry. I was getting ready to go into the next one. All right. So this was the first chant. So I'm starting to hear you guys a little bit. Once you guys, when I start hearing you over myself, then I'll know you're really chanting. Okay. So maybe on the next one, you guys will get to that point. So could you use the mic? Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to match up the audio with the words and the text. I get confused.
Yeah, you're going to learn just like everything else. You got to take your time and learn. You're not going to get it instantly right away. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the next one, and you guys will see this next chant, which is, I refer to it as the Namo Tassa, but I'm sure there's other people who refer to it other ways. This one is a really simple one. A lot of times people say this one's a lot easier for them because it's just the same phrase repeated 3 times. So I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to do 4 times through. Okay. So here's the first time through where you guys can just hear me chanting it. It sounds like this. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Apologize. My voice is a little scratchy today. So this is the same phrase, just repeated 3 times. And if you're interested in like just learning one chant and get starting with that, sometimes people start with this one. Like if you're growing up in Thailand and you start mouthing a few words, they're going to usually teach you this one. I've seen little kids that can chant this. So usually they'll chant this first and then they'll move on to the other ones because these syllables show up in some of the other chants. So if you find it challenging to learn all 3 and you'd like to break it down, this is a good one to learn first and then move to some of the other ones. Okay, so now I'll do it a second time and I'll show you guys where I'm breathing. Okay, so I've taken that deep breath coming in off that last chant, and now I'm going to chant Namo Rasa Bhagavato. And now I'll take a little breath here. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Big breath. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Little breath. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Big breath. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Little breath. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Okay, so that's the Namo Tassa. But now let's do it together, and I'll show you guys where the breaths are as we're going through. Okay? Here we go. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Breath. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Breath. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Breath. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Breath. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Breath. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Okay, so that's the Namo Tassa with the guidance. But now let's do it a fourth time with no guidance or anything. This is the American Idol. This is the voice, okay? Someone might hear you. You're on the internet, right? Maybe someone hears you. Someone gives you a call. It's like, hey, we got a job for you. What's that? Yeah. All right, you guys ready? Here we go. No guidance at all. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Rasa Bhagavato. Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Okay, I'm starting to hear you guys. All right. Good job. All right, any questions on this one? Question?
Bowing? Are you bowing at the end of each line?
Not on this one, just the first one. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I'll teach you this next one. This one I found to be more challenging when I chanted this one. Some people say it's a lot easier for them, right? Everybody's going to have a different opinion. Not everybody's going to have the same opinion because of impermanence. We all have different opinions and different views. So for me, this one was a bit more challenging, but for you, it might be easier. So again, I'll do it 4 times. Okay. Here's the way it sounds. Iti piso emahakawa. Arahang Sama Sambuddho. Vichacharanang Samuno. Sakato Rokavitu. Anutero Purisa. Dhamma Sati Satatawa Manusanang Poto Bhagavati. So I do a little bow at the end of that one. Okay, and I kind of drag this one out too. If you chant this with Thai people, they might kind of end it abruptly. They'll say like Bhagavati, and they will just stop it. But I think it sounds better dragged out, so I just drag it out. Okay. All right. So here's a second time through. I'll show you where I'm breathing. Okay. So I take a nice deep breath coming off that last chant. Iti pisu mahakava. Breath. Arahang samma sambuddho. Breath here. Vichacharanang sammuno. Breath. Sakatoro kavitu. Nice breath. Anutero purisa. Breath. Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang. Breath. Puto Bhagavati. Okay, so that's the second time. Now, even though I'm showing you guys where I breathe, you can really breathe wherever you like. There's kind of a natural pause here that you can breathe in each of these spots. But if you choose to breathe other places, it's up to you. It's your practice. Maybe you can take a full breath. Maybe you can chant all the way through, right? Maybe your lung capacity is quite a lot. So it's really up to you, right? So I'm just kind of helping you and guiding you along the way. All right, so now we'll do it a third time with you guys joining in, and I'll guide you, okay? So we take a nice deep breath here at the beginning. Iti pisu mahakava. Little breath. Arahang samma sambuddho. Breath. Vichacharanang sammuno. Breath. Sakatoro kavitu. Breath. Anutero purisa. Breath. Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang. Breath. Puto Bhagavati. Okay, now usually I'd drag that out and kind of bow at the end, but I had to restart the Zoom here. Okay, so that's the third time through. Okay. All right, so now we'll do it a fourth time, and I won't guide you in the breath. We'll just kind of harmonize together and start blending in our voices. Okay, so here we go. Iti pisu mahakava. Arahang samma sambuddho. Vichacharanang sammuno. Sakatoro kavitu. Anutero purisa. Dhamma sati satatawa manusanang. Puto Bhagavati. Okay, that's the fourth time through the third chant. Any questions on this one? No questions? Okay, here's what I suggest we do. I suggest we start from the top, that we go all the way through all three, no guidance. You guys game? You would like to try? Okay, so I'll flip these up here, and then you guys can chant or use the papers in front of you. It's up to you. So no guidance, no nothing. We'll just go through all three of them, okay, just like we're meditating. All right, here we go. Arahang samma sambuddho mahakava. Potang mahakavanang apivateyami. สวากขาโตมหาควัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาควัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, that's all the way through. Good job. You made it. Yay. All right. Any questions? Anything you guys would like to ask? Encore. All right. All right. Well, here's what I propose at this point. I propose that we do the chanting, and then I guide you in a meditation, give you guys a chance to do an afternoon meditation, and then we come out with the chanting as well, kind of putting it all together as one package. And if you guys would like to use a little bathroom break, anybody need a little bathroom break since we just got back from lunch before we do this? No? You guys game? You guys would like to try this? Okay. All right. So let me back this up. So you guys can use the paper, or you can use the learning device on the visual aid. No guidance, no nothing. Just do the chants. We'll go into meditation. Yeah, the same, all three of them. We'll go all the way through. And then once we get into meditation, I'll give you the guidance like I normally do. Then there's that period of time where it's quiet, we're meditating, and then we'll come out with some more chanting. And then we'll finish up for there. Okay.
After we do the chanting, I know you mentioned that
If you could get the mic. Yeah, there was got a bunch of people online joining us.
Once we do the chanting, I just wanted to make sure, what state should we feel? Like a cleansing and open mind. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, there's no feeling that you're having. What you're doing is just exercising the mind, bringing some awareness of the mind, and just calming the mind, slowing it down, and kind of easing into the meditation.
Okay.
So there's not any particular feeling that you're going to have.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to take it from the top. Okay. Here we go. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Mahakeva Bhutang Mahakavanang Apivateyami Savakato Mahakavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami สุปฏิปันโนมหะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาดามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay. With the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect. Just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath. A nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. Not forced or controlled. Just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not be matching up to the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath. Either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on your breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมะคะวาพุทธังมะคะวันนังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังปุตโตภะคะวะติ Okay, you guys did it. All right. You're all out of meditation. Usually I say slowly ease your way out of meditation, but you guys already did that, right? With the chanting. Good job. All right. Any questions on this? Yeah. If you could use the mic. Sorry about that. We just got people online for them to join us.
During the meditation, is there a physical change to your body, like heart rate slows down or drops and things like that? Are like benefits other than the clearing of the mind?
Yeah, when you clear up the mind is one thing and the body is something completely different. When you train your mind and you clean up the mind, it has an effect to the brain. They're not the same thing, but there's a connection between them. And doctors nowadays can research this, where during the lifetime of the Buddha, they didn't have the technology to research it. So now they're doing like MRIs and CAT scans and things like this. Neuroscientists are studying the brains of people who've been meditating for long-term periods, and they can see significant impacts to the physical body because of training the mind. So these are two separate things, but there's a connection between them. So, you're going to see all kinds of physical improvement. When the mind's tranquil, the body will be tranquil too, because the body is just the employee. The mind is the boss. The body's just following along with whatever's going on in the mind. So when you train your mind and that's nice and tranquil, the body will be tranquil too.
And during the meditation, and sometimes I'll like to take a nap. I think we all like to take a nap, but I noticed I wasn't taking a nap even after having a full lunch. Mm-hmm. Is there a reason why I'm not taking a nap? I don't know if you people have ever mentioned that to you.
Yeah, the chanting will help invigorate the mind. That's one of the things that it does. And if you're training the way that the Buddha taught you, where you're sitting up straight and you're bringing the mind back to the breath and stuff like that, you're actively training the mind. That's what you would like to be doing. It's an active training. It's not time to just zone out and these kinds of things. So, right now, that's where you're at with your practice, that your mind's mentally alert. It doesn't mean you won't experience that in the future where you're dozing off and things like that. You certainly can. But that's great that that's where you're at right now, today, with your practice, because you'd like the mind to be attentive and alert during the meditation. That's where you can actively train it. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is just end class by thanking all of you guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here and being interested in the teachings of the Buddha. Tomorrow, I'm going to be teaching you some more, where in the morning, we're going to start off with chanting and meditation. Then I'm going to teach you the Eightfold Path. It's going to take the whole morning to teach this to you. I'm going to walk you through it slowly but surely with the words of the Buddha, taking that mid-morning break, but making sure you really understand it. It's going to take more than one time for you to learn it. You're going to learn it once, and then you're going to learn it again and again and again. It takes multiple times to really commit it to your memory. But I'll give you guidance on that tomorrow. And then after our lunch break, we'll come back and I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of meditation so you can understand more about this practice and develop your practice more and more. So whatever you choose to do today, have a wonderful and lovely rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap.